Welcome to the 2025 Q1 industry report from Assertive Yield. I'm Nils Lind, the founder and CEO of Assertive Yield. Today we want to look at how the market has developed within or across the first quarter of this year, what major industry changes have potentially played a role in it, and how we expect it to go. If we look at the overall US trend of advertising spend, we have a pretty interesting development the beginning of this year. While there has been a lot of information on a sudden or extreme decrease year over year in advertising revenue, if we actually specifically look at or take out the decrease in attention, the decrease in traffic itself, across a majority of publishers we see a significant increase in spend. This trend does not hold true across all publishers. There are many big ones where this is not the case, but when we combine them all together, even including the size of these publishers within that calculation, the overall trend for the beginning of this year, Q1, for all months from January, February to March, is looking significantly better than the last couple of years. It is important to note that since we are primarily looking at January, February and March numbers, the major shifts in regards to the US political situation and so on have not really had a proper impact on this yet. Of course, the uncertainty that is being created in the market will most definitely have an impact on the advertising spend, but at the same time, committed budgets usually remain committed. So we would expect to see a significant shift in the following months. Now, if we take a look across the pond to the European market, we see that the 2025 numbers for the first quarter look quite similar to the numbers from 2024. We are doing slightly better, but if we now take into account inflation and otherwise, it looks pretty similar to the previous year. No major changes visible. Now, in regards to the SSPs that are participating within our auctions and in regards to the revenue from those, we had within Q1 basically a good continuation from the trends from Q4. Not too much has changed. We still see index exchange being both really strong in terms of the amount of inventory they are buying, as well as the dollars they are paying for it. Magnite, Criteo, AppNexus, Programmatic, TripleLift and so on remain to be sitting within the middle, and then with other players such as Sharethrough, Adashu, Smart or Equitive nowadays, OneTech sitting more in the lower corner. Now, interestingly, we see media now buying significant amount of traffic, which does to some degree make sense given that it is Q1 and CPMs are lower, but at more around average CPM ranges. Now, if we look at the tier 2 market of publishers, meaning smaller sized publishers and publishers that don't have necessarily editorial content, the mix of SSPs remains similar to what it was within the last quarter. We see AppNexus buying the majority of traffic overall, followed by Rise, Magnite, TripleLift, Minute Media, and so on. So we see resale SSPs being really strong in that category of publishers, both in regards of the amount of impressions they are buying, the amount of volume they are buying, as well as the prices they are buying them for. No major change overall between the quarters. If we specifically look at the US in regards to tier 1 publishers, we see a similar trend as when we were looking at the overall data, with index exchange remaining at the top in terms of revenue contribution. But now we do see a significant increase in the amount of volume being bought by Yieldmo and Media.net as well. The middle segment remains as it was. Looking at the trend quarter over quarter in regards to 5 of the biggest SSPs in particular, we see the trend continuing of AppNexus declining in share of revenue, but it slowed down. It is no longer declining as much, and we see index exchange keeping its increase and basically remaining on that strong upwards trajectory. If you look at TripleLift, it has remained stable. If you look at Programmatic, it has remained stable. And the same goes for Magnite. Although Magnite, now with Q1, is actually looking at a small upwards trajectory. Well, that is it for this year's Q1 report. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope the information was useful. And if you would like to learn more and stay up to date with these industry changes and how we see it within numbers from the publisher's perspective, please feel free to follow and subscribe, be it on YouTube, LinkedIn, and otherwise. If you have any questions about the report itself, about data shown within it and so on, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to provide more information and help understand the data better. Thank you very much, and I hope we will have a good year despite all of the uncertainty and effects on the advertising revenue potentially but at the same time, there's good movement in regards to the monopoly declarement, overall changes in regards to soon step-by-step seeing agentic buying, and so on. So major changes are coming, and hopefully the good ones will outweigh the bad ones. Thank you very much, and to a good year.